Hello, hello, Portsmouth, Ohio. I will say that I'm excited to be here because this is where I spent a large portion of my young adult life. Portsmouth taught me a lot about who I was and who I was to become. So it is always an honor to come back here and speak to individuals here in Scioto County. My message today is entitled The 3 Ps to Success. And I will be talking about how I found my purpose and went from my purpose to gaining my power and went from my power to gaining my paper. And it has been a long road, but I'm here to share those steps with everyone here in the room today. Okay? So my thing is push. P-U-S-H, then pull. I'm going to push you to your purpose. And then from your purpose, you're going to pull your power. And from your power, you're going to walk into your paper. So will you like to take this journey with me? Yeah. All right. So as I hit different topics, I want everyone to say when I get done with it, are y'all ready to push? And everybody can holler, let's go or let's push. I prefer let's push. All right? So my first question for you guys. How many business owners do I have here in the audience? Okay, so quite a few. That's a beautiful thing to talk to business owners. Now, my next question is, did you know that 60% of our life, I say 70 now because retirement age has grown, correct? Went from 62 to 67, so we might as well say about 70 years old, we retire. So 70% of our life, we're going to be doing some type of labor of one shape or form. Why not do something you love? How many of you can tell me that you're actually doing what you love to do in your business, or do you just have a business? Okay. Then my next question is, did you find your purpose before you found your business, or did you find your business and then found your purpose? Can anybody answer that question for me? Purpose. You found your purpose first? Okay, anybody else? Was it the other way around for anyone else? Okay, can you elaborate? You found your business first and then walked into your purpose. So was it a trigger for you or just you? Give me a little explanation, just a small one.
So I had always basically tried to figure out what my purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
I understood what my gift was, but I didn't realize that my purpose came in alignment with what I was passionate about and what came easy to me. So I tried many different things in terms of business. Many things kind of failed. Some things I gave up on. But once the thing that hit, and I was like, oh, this is it. Like God really spoke to me. That's when it was revealed that my ultimate purpose was.
Okay, great. Well, I will say that it took me a while to find my purpose, even though I was truly walking in it at a young age. So I was triggered by certain things that I did along my walk, by taking different chances, walking into different venues, and making myself readily available. So today, I want to take you on a journey to help you find the missing pieces, if you don't already have them, to your true story, where you turn tragedy into triumph. Or you can even look at, say, that life was not what it was expected to be, but everything had unfolded and provided you with the lessons, abilities, tools, and desires you need to live in your destiny. All right, so the first thing, like I said, is push for me. And the P stands for push past the roles and conditioning. There is this untrue belief or shared belief that your environment and upbringing has limited influences on who you become or who you are today. Can anyone agree with that or disagree? You disagree? Okay. So when you're looking at the influences on your life and the areas that you live in, most of us don't think that it plays a role in who we are or who we become. I found in my walk that it does. All of the things that I've went through in my childhood, went through in life has led me on that path, and I had to go back to help identify those things. So I'm going to take you back just a little bit. My first question is what roles do you play on life or the stage of life and in business? A lot of us can say, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a CEO, I'm an owner of a business. With each of these roles, who taught you how to play them? So that's where we go back. In your life, who taught you how to be a father? Your father or other men around you, correct? Who taught you how to be a mother? Your mother or other women around you. Who taught you how to, if you say you're an accountant, who taught you how to be an accountant? You went to school, but it was still someone around you that showed you these things and inspired you to want to do that, correct? Okay, so now we can go back and look at how those roles and conditioning, the roles conditions us to be who we truly are. Now, my next question is, with a lot of these roles that people have given us, now that we look back at them, are they truly keeping us in line with who we want to become or who we are? Can anyone answer that question for me? Anyone? The things that you've been through in life, is it really aligned with your purpose? Some of the things that people taught you, people showed you, like I could say I want to be an awesome mother, but that doesn't mean the roles and the things and the people that were teaching me those things gave me the proper tools. So did it align with it? No, not really. But it gave me a platform, correct? Always gives you a platform. So with that, I had to go back and identify some of those roles and things that was taught to me and see if they was actually correct. Because we inherit things from people around us, our environment. I can say for me, I lived in Farley Square. That environment made it a little bit uneasy for me. Like, do I really have purpose? Am I really supposed to be doing something in this life? Or is this where I'm supposed to be for the rest of my days? And I had to analyze that because that was where I was. And with that mindset, I could have stayed there and stayed in that condition or had that condition for my thoughts. But I chose to rise above that. So I started educating myself to come up out of that around individuals who was actually moving and doing the things that I wanted to do in life. It's not always easy. It's always, sometimes you think you're not going to fit in. You're not going to make it on this platform, or that person doesn't want to help you, or they don't have the time to help you. But it's always taking that chance. So when we realize that those things aren't helping us and aren't really motivating us effectively and efficiently, then we have to go back and reanalyze and look at those things. Some of the people that have influenced me, I couldn't get along or I couldn't understand their ways, but that didn't mean it didn't become a part of mine. So I had to sometimes put those lights out and start over and reestablishing who Maria was. So that's the important part. I like to tell people about the roles and conditionings of things that took place prior to us identifying who we were. Sometimes it takes people a little bit to think about it and really analyze, like, wait a minute, maybe it's things that I'm doing that isn't correct, or I'm thinking in a, improper fashion. Just something to give you to think about. All right, so once we can push past them and analyze all of that, then we can begin to understand our pathway to purpose. Purpose is not something that we have to stop looking for it. It's already in us. We have to identify it and cultivate it. And in order to identify it and cultivate it, what do you think? Can someone answer this question? What do you think that needs to be done to do that? No one? Being around a mentor, having mentors, having individuals. If you see a position, different positions out there that are aligning with what you're trying to do, don't be afraid to take them. Don't be afraid to apply for them. Don't be afraid to look at them. I can tell you when I was 19 years old, I walked into a nursing home for the first time in my life. And when I did that, I was picking my mom up from work that day. And I met two very, very interesting young men. I call them young men, but they were older individuals sitting right out front. And we had a conversation. From that very conversation, it drew me in to go inside of those doors and just to really see what that nursing home was about. From just going inside those doors, I took 2 part-time positions, one as a dietary aide and one as a housekeeping aide. I needed full-time employment. I had 2 children at home depending on me. So I took those 2 part-time positions, and I went from there in 4 years and climbed up 4 positions up the corporate ladder in 4 years because I was determined to go in there with the mindset, I have a purpose here. Something drew me in here, and I have to figure out what it is. So every position I had, every year, the administrator that was there, she saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And if I would have never walked through those doors, I would have never been able to, also grasp what she saw. and those things that were in me that at that time I hadn't cultivated. I went from that position to a STNA. From an STNA, I went to the business office. In the business office, I did accounts payable, accounts receivable. I went from there to the business office manager. At that time, I was running the business office at 24 years old, and I needed nothing in the world. I had all the money possible to take care of me and my children. That was amazing for me, but I still, even in that, felt that it was something more. So I will say in your pathway, when you're doing purpose development, you have to allow yourself to do things on impulse, as long as it strikes your interest. Sometimes you'll go someplace, walk through the door, especially if it's pulling you, instead of just walking away and acting like you don't want to pay attention to it. Or you don't want to, just see what's inside that building. I do that all the time now, even in my walk. I'll be walking downtown, I'll be walking through different places, and I just go in to see what's in there. And just, happily look around. And it's always something that can draw me in a little bit deeper, because I look at everything as an opportunity. Do you put yourself in arenas where you are more exposed to your interests, where your interests and things like that can find you? You have to put yourself in those environments. They're very important. Don't be afraid. There's conferences, there's seminars, there's master classes now. There's so much readily available. And YouTube is a whole university if we only but knew. Do you allow yourself to move forward when things feel unpleasant, or you're afraid because you don't know how to do it? Sometimes we have to step into that. I can say, standing up and speaking, I never knew that it was something that I could do very well. And I enjoyed it until I first did it when Miss Marsha allowed me to come and speak here in Portsmouth, Ohio with her youth. Once I did that, it was like, okay, Marie, you hit a new platform. I could have been afraid of it. I could have said, no, I don't want to do that. But on this platform now, I'm able to do the next level of my purpose. So you have to sometimes push, even when you're fearful and when you're afraid. Do you allow yourself to try, even if you fail? I don't look at failure as failure. My failure is not trying at all. I don't view failure as me making a mistake, because those are learning tips, learning experiences. So keep pushing, keep trying. Failure is not trying at all. Do you deliberately look deeper into your interests? I had to deliberately look deeper into my interests. I love working with numbers. I love, doing management. So I had to go a little bit deeper, because to hit different platforms, I had to return back to school. And if I didn't return back to school, I wouldn't have been able to elevate to each different platform. But now you don't have to do a full degree. You can do courses. There's simple courses that you can take to help you elevate to that next degree, and it's important that we take them. And then I will say that there are 6 pillars to passion. You have to use insight from your childhood. Your childhood is where when we were young, why is it that when we started to walk, we wobble and fall, but we would always get back up? It didn't stop us. But why, as we get older and things get harder, we just walk away from okay, I'm not going to do that. Oh, that's not for me. Let's get back to that mindset. So use the insight from your childhood. Also think about the fact that is before anything ever came to you. I can go back to my childhood. I love watching Oprah, Sally Jesse Raphael, and Renee. What's her, oh my gosh. She was a comedian, but she was just very straightforward and direct. I can see my talking style being something that I cultivated from them, and how I maneuver. Oprah always wanted to talk to individuals about things that was inspiring. Those are all the things that somewhat came from my childhood. Living in low-income housing. I didn't run from it. I embraced it. Now I'm trying to take others from low-income housing, but also see the benefit of low-income housing. We have to change our mindset about the way we think about things. I have suffered abuse on every platform that anyone could imagine, but I had to change my thinking of that abuse. 2, now I can stand up and I can speak to individuals on different levels at different times, and really embrace and have them embrace me and understand where I'm coming from, and I truly understand them. So it wasn't a negative thing, it was a positive thing that I'm now using on this platform. That's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is, what do you love? What do you love to do? For me, I love management, but I had to learn that, you know what I'm saying, throughout my journey. I was a mother of 4 children. I took care of them financially with, you know what I'm saying, very little help. I was managing a household as a single mother for a very long time. I had managerial skills that I didn't even realize that I had, but it's what I love to do. So I took that from my childhood, took that from my youth over into what I love to do, and it laid that platform. What do you have to offer? We all have something to offer. And once we realize that and you walk in and you find your purpose, make sure you give back. Because just like you're looking for it, everybody around you is looking for it as well. So let's always remember to give back and cultivate what we have to offer. Like I can look at Deja. Deja does hair. She's cultivating the fact that she loves hair and she's giving back to the community by doing it. A beautiful thing. Okay? The 4th pillar is, what do you really want? For me, my motivational speaking, I want other individuals to understand finding their purpose is the only way you can get to the power, and the only way that you can then cultivate your paper and embrace it and hold it the way God had intended. What do you stand for? We all have morals. What do you truly stand for? Some of our morals can come from things we went through in our youth. Some can come, you know what I'm saying, early, you know what I'm saying, adulthood, and even now. But what do you stand for? Make sure everything you're doing is laid on that platform of what you truly stand for. So therefore, as you're doing it, you're going to do it with love and compassion. That's very, very important when you're dealing with people, especially God's people. How can you commit? How can you commit to doing that? What can you do? You can say, I love to build tree houses. That's committing. Build tree houses, but who do you want to build tree houses for? I want to build tree houses for children. Then that's what you commit to. Truly building tree houses for children, because that's your desire, that's your drive. All right, y'all ready to keep pushing? Let's push. All right, the next thing is skills and talents. I have a lot of skills and I have a lot of talents, but that doesn't mean that it's my purpose. It doesn't mean it's your purpose either. I'm an accountant. You give me some books, I can tear the books up, but it's not my purpose. It plays a part in my purpose. It helps me with balancing my purpose and understanding my purpose and even maneuvering through my purpose, because now I can keep my own books. I can see what the next person is doing and when they label my money and say where it's going, and I can understand that. But it's not my purpose. So sometimes we have to also identify that just because we have a skill and a talent does not mean that it's your purpose. And we have to be able to identify the difference. But we can utilize those skills and talents to help us in our purpose. All right, the next thing is harnessing in our highlights. Most of us would think that highlights are things like all the good things that happen in life, but it's not always the good things that happen in life. Sometimes it's some of the bad things that happens too that can help push us to that next level. And with that being said, I can use an example of a tragedy in my life. I lost my son, 25 years old, motorcycle accident here in Portsmouth, Ohio. I didn't let that take me to, or, you know what I'm saying, dim my light. It made it brighter. I used that as an additional platform to write my book, to tell people of everything that I have literally been through in my life, to also show individuals just because this happened does not mean that you can't get to that next level. It's all about how you look at it and how you identify those things. Because if it wasn't for his passing, I don't think I would have ever wrote my book. If it wasn't for his passing, I don't think that I would have ever shut up my business, because I felt like Jonah going into the belly of a whale and it was no longer my purpose. So all of that played a part in who I am today and where I'm going. But I also do so much to honor him in everything that I do. And without that taking place, so people can look at it like, oh, that was a tragedy. Yes, it was, but it was a tragedy that pushed me so far into what I'm supposed to be doing. And if it wouldn't have taken place, then I don't think I would be standing here today. My next thing is looking at your personality. Do you guys know that there are 16 personality types? There's 16 personality types. If you don't know them personality types, then you will not be able to maneuver and deal with the people that are around you because we are all different. There's something about me, there's something about you, there's something about him. But if we don't know those different personality types, I wouldn't be able to work with Mr. Womack on an even plateau because he works different than I work. And I have to be able to identify how he works, how his mind thinks, how his mind registers. I'm going to tell you my personality type. My personality type is ISFJ-A. I'm an introvert. You wouldn't think so because I can get up here and speak, make like, oh, I just like talking to people. No, I'm really an introvert. But because I know that, now I have to work on the other side of that, coming from an introvert to an extrovert when needed. I am observant. 52%, I'm very observant. So there's not much that can get past me that I don't see, no matter where I'm at. 57% of me is feeling. That's good to know because I'm a feeler. I can sit in a room and I can feel energy. I can feel how people are feeling. I can really, get with my audience or even get with the individual that I'm coaching and trying to help. But this one right here, I'm 88% judgmental. So I'm very judging. That's not a good trait. So sometimes I have to work and make sure that when things are taking place, I'm not judging the situation. I'm analyzing the situation. I have to analyze the situation so it can take me further to be able to work with the individuals. Because I can meet Mr. Womack and he can come in and just based off of how he's dressed, I can be like, oh, he's not a good candidate for what I'm looking for. Stop being judgmental and really get to who he is. Open up, talk to him a little bit more. Because I know that about myself. I know how to work past that. All right? I am 69% assertive. I'm very assertive. You can't tell Maria she's not going to get what she wants because if I want it, I'm going to go get it. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I just have to do it with a little bit of grace, with a little bit of style. And I can still be assertive. But knowing all these things about myself makes it a little bit easier for me to deal with the next person who's a totally different personality type. All right, y'all ready to keep pushing? All right, now actually we're going to go from pushing to pull because now we're going to pull our power. Okay, let me show you how we're going to pull our power. We're going to position ourselves. We got to position ourselves in different arenas, like I said before, to be able to pull that power. Coming to conferences, coming to seminars, talking to individuals who is actually doing what you're trying to do. And even if it's a business, we think of sometimes when we're in business, competition. It's not always competition. If you're doing something, I'm doing something, we can still come together and work together because what God has for you is for you and what he has for me is for me. So therefore we can share. What's the population of Portsmouth? Does anyone know? 21,000. So if there's 21,000 people in Portsmouth and Brady is selling newspapers, you're selling newspapers, there's 21,000 people. You can hit half, he can hit half. And then you might need a partner, so you're going to bring him in and hit the other half that y'all can't hit that's up on the hilltop, right? So position yourself. Work with individuals that's lined up with what you're trying to do. Make sure you position yourselves. Take those classes. Do those master classes. Go YouTube. YouTube is the best thing because it's changing so fast. How do you keep up with it? Then I also want to talk about experiences and coincidences. I don't look at things as coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. No matter what goes on, no matter what happens, just like today, I couldn't use the PowerPoint. So it's making me improvise. Maybe that's what I'm gonna have to do for my next seminar. There probably won't be those type of items. Now I have to learn how to improvise. But it also shows me if I'm capable of doing this and I'm really walking into my purpose. Sometimes those coincidences is just God's way of telling us we're right where we should be. We're right in the right place at the right time. And sometimes when those things happen, we be like, oh, deja vu, oh, this happened before. Oh, no, sit back and analyze it. Really sit back and think about it for that day. Like, what was I doing that day? How did I end up in that situation? How did I end up in that position? Because there's more to the story if you really think about it. And there's life experiences through our whole life. I like to tell people in my workbook, if you do age 5 through 16, 17 through 21, the age limits, and just put those different things in there, you can see how God has been leading you exactly where you're supposed to be in life. Just a little nudge here, a little nudge there. Even the bad things, they were still putting you back on the right track to get to where you're supposed to be. So also be mindful of them. And then there's turning points. There's things that happen in our life that we thought we were going one way. That's like I said, I had a business, successful business, made over $100,000 a year. Own home healthcare agency. I started it from my dining room table. Me by myself doing all the research, developing all the things that I have in this workbook. By myself at my dining room table. I had one coach. He never told me what to do. He never told me how to do it. He told me what I needed to do. And he also told me, look at everything that you see as an opportunity. Everything. Okay. My second to the last thing is elimination of limits. We put limits on ourselves. Society puts limits on us. Most importantly, we put limits on ourselves. If it was based off of what people knew about me, being here in Portsmouth, Ohio, and the life that I had, I would have never been a successful business owner. I would have never created my own business from scratch. I would have never held my business for 10 years, let alone be standing up here in front of you talking in this fashion. And if anybody knows me, you know my history. Never would have seemed, impossible. But because I eliminated those limits that was placed upon me, being in low-income housing, having a child at 15, I had to change my mindset and start thinking on a different level. And I eliminated those beliefs and rules. Most women, you can't be a business owner. Let a lot of people tell it. Not a successful business owner, not by yourself. I've done it. So I'm going to go over a couple beliefs. They say money is the root to all evil. I say if money is the root to all evil, they say more money, more problems. I just use the money to solve them. I made $100,000 a year. Probably out of that $100,000, I gave $50,000 back to the community in one shape or form. One shape or form I was giving back. If my money's going to generate more problems, then I'm going to give my money back to help eliminate those problems. If me walking in my purpose is going to bring more problems, I'm going to give back so we can help eliminate them. If that's what the limitation is. It says life is hard. You have to pay your dues. Money doesn't grow on trees. They say no pain, no gain. I found all those to be untrue. So like I said, I changed my way of thinking. Instead of saying, but it's hard. It's hard. It will take a long time. But I don't have time. But it's overwhelming. But it means they win. This is how I changed my thinking, just to give you a couple tips. It is hard and worth it. It can be hard, but it's worth it. What do you get after it? It's worth it no matter how long it takes. It's worth it no matter how long it takes. It took me 10 years to gain the platform of owning my own business and to be able to sit here and talk about business, which I'll do next, about starting your own business. 10 years, but it was worth it. I had to do it. Somebody had to. It is overwhelming at first. It's overwhelming at first. Yes, it's overwhelming, but only at first. Change your thinking about it. And when it says, but they win, when you have to do something that you really don't want to, or you're put in a position, no. At the end of the day, they don't win. We all win. Isn't that the objective? For everybody to win? All right. My last thing here is that I like to tell people when finding your purpose, and it's let's take your time back. I'm sorry, the other one was unharness true beliefs and limits. Now this one is let's take your time back. Let's look back over how much, where our energy goes. If you have 100%, I want everybody to really think about this and write it down on paper when I ask you these questions. What percentage of that 100% do you do pleasing family? What percent of that do you do pleasing others? What percentage of that do you spend being pessimistic? What percentage of that time do you think about think about resentment, being resentful for some of the things that took place in your life? What percentage of that time do you think about being negative, self-judgment? Think about regrets and failures. What percentage of that time do you spend worrying? And then most importantly, what percentage of that time do you actually spend being your true, authentic self? And what percentage of that time do you spend controlling other people and trying to control your experiences? Now, with that being said, what percentage do you spend being your true, authentic self? Can someone answer that question for me in all honesty after doing all of those other things? And thank you.
Until recent years, probably about 80% of the time was everything except being true self.
That part right there, yes. We have to take our time back. We can't give it to everything else because then we're losing who we are. We're losing our ability to truly walk in our purpose. I love my family. My children are raised. I did that part, but I can only still give them a percentage. I still have to be me and be who God called me to be. Pleasing others, I did a large percentage of my life doing that. Now I don't please anybody. I please God. I please myself. I have to be pleasing to me, being my true self, being pessimistic, thinking about resentment. Like I said, thinking about the regrets and failures. That's too much time we're giving away without cultivating and being who God called us to be and really walking in our purpose. If we take some of that time back, then you can actually find your purpose. You can walk in your purpose. Then you can gain the power of being in your purpose because now you have time to do those things. Really think about it. Take some of that time back so you can do those things to find you. Walk in what you're here to do and embrace and love life. And then my last thing is live for your money and your purpose. Once you can do all that, the money will come. And then now you can cultivate it. You can do what you're supposed to do with it. Because if you get the money before that and all those things are in disarray, it's a waste of time. Because you're going to blow it, you're going to waste it, and you're not going to do what you properly need to do with it and how you need to do it. So that concludes my message on walking in your purpose, finding your purpose, getting your purpose, your power, and then getting to your paper. Any questions? Anybody have anything they would like to share?
When you mentioned not being judgmental, but analyzing,
Mm-hmm.
how
How do I do that? For me, I try to, instead of, being judgmental, or I'm trying to let me think of an example. I could think, let's say, with my home health care agency, I have a lot of people that would come through my doors, and they wanted to be aides. And instead of being judgmental about their bad behavior as being aides, I analyzed it. So in analyzing it, I saw that home health care wasn't for you. You're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. That's why you can't find the satisfaction in, being an aide. Or you can't find the satisfaction of being my receptionist because it's not your true calling. So having that ability to analyze versus judge, it helped me also help them walk into their purpose. I can have a young lady, she's an esthetician now. She loved doing that. She loved coming in, making all of our residents look nice, making the clients, dressed and taking them out in the community. But she wasn't doing the other parts of loving them and, cultivating them in their walk at that time in their life. So after talking to her and helping her, go through some of these steps, she was able to identify that this wasn't what she was supposed to be doing. But if I was judgmental, I probably would have fired her and just sent her right back out to go do the same thing all over again.
How we equate it is when you judge, you get in a sentence, you condemn it. When you analyze and evaluate, you're giving it value. So you change the mindset of putting value to whatever the situation is. When you judge, it's condemning. When you evaluate, you putting
Value on it. So you have to find the value in it, even for the people that are around you sometimes. Anything else? Yes.
A few moments ago, you were talking about impulse. I made a note to myself. It's a question.
Mm-hmm.
I took you in trying to convey where your intuition leads you, your sense of you feel it. We verbally express it different ways. Impulse, in my life, in true form, was compulsiveness. That's a mistake. Were you trying to convey intuition as a good impulse, or did I mishear that?
Sometimes your intuition can be a good impulse. You can't always look at it from a negative perspective. Sometimes like impulse, like I can say, for me, I did a retreat, okay? It was impulsive. Everybody's like, well, how are you gonna do a retreat? Why are you doing a retreat? But I knew what God put in me for the mission of that retreat. And so therefore I acted on it. And I accomplished exactly what, you know what I'm saying, was set out. So all impulses aren't bad, if you really think about it. Sometimes, go ahead.
No, that was it. That was my question. What were you trying to convey? And that's how I took it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anything else? No? All right, so the next portion of my time, I am going to be spending on helping everyone go through the key factors of starting their own business. And I had a PowerPoint, but I cannot pull it up, so I'm just going to talk through this one. How much time do I have left, Maya? Okay. Can you help me with this? I'm sorry. It's right here. How do I open it? Okay, so I see that a lot of individuals in here already have their own business, already established and things like that. For those that don't, do you have in mind anyone, what type of business you're looking to open? No? Okay.
I'm gonna send out cards. I want to send words of encouragement to people. Just like if you need me to send out your Christmas cards, I'll be, you can contact me and I'll send them.
Okay.
I can set it up monthly. And if you want to give your family what you forget to send out the card, you can contact me and I'll send out the card. You just give me the dates and I'll pick out your cards
Okay.
or create the cards.
Okay. Anyone else?
I raised my hand. I'm a business owner. It's true. 65 days ago, LLC got the tax number, got the account, got the insurance. I need everything you can throw out about starting a business.
Okay. All right. So, with starting a business, the first thing I will tell anyone, it's all about planning. Very important key element is a business plan. A lot of us just want to jump out there. You have to say where you're going. You have to put it in a roadmap, right? How do you have a destination, or how can you create a destination without a roadmap? If you're saying you're going to Florida, you're going to know all the stops if you have to take the bus, right? You're going to create the roadmap. You're going to purchase that ticket. You're going to do everything you need to do before you actually head out to Florida. You're going to do your investigation. You're going to see what's out there. So doing a business plan is very important. Then you also need to identify how you need to register your business, your legal structure, if you need workers' comp coverage, tax requirements. Do you need a vendor license? Do you need insurance? Then there's other items to consider. Environmental requirements, consumer law, zoning, so many other different things. And then there's also 14 common characteristics of a successful business owner, and I will share that with you at the end. Business plan is your first steps. It defines the company. It's the tool to access capital if you have to get capital. People want to see where you're going, how you're going to get there. What steps are you going to take to make sure that you're going to get there? How are you going to analyze if you're on the right track? That's what the business plan does for you. It provides information to bankers, investors, and also not only yourself, but your employees if you decide to have some. The Small Business Development Center, SBDC, can help you do a business plan for free. Remember that. That's a good, element to use, to have in your arsenal. You can start your business plan, you can go through it, they'll review it for you, they'll give you tips, and they'll analyze it for you. Very important. But without that business plan, you know not where you're going. The next thing I want to talk about is how to register your business. If you're going to be an entrepreneur or a future business owner, registering your business is something you need to think about. Register based on your choice of legal structure. The name of your business also needs to be considered when you're registering, and then you also need to consider if you need a license. There are several ways that you can have the legal structure of your business. Sole proprietor, partnership, limited liability, which what a lot of people are going through, but now they're changing them into S corporations, so pay attention to that. Then you have C corporations, then you have limited liability partnership and S corporations. When you're looking into what you're going to label your business as, make sure you analyze all of those different ones to make sure you pick the right one. It's very important how you're going to structure your business. And then from that, once you start, developing that, and then it'll tell you if you need licenses for the different things that you want to do, which is also important. That's one thing you don't want to get caught up in, is not having your structure outlined properly, because the IRS is one person that I don't like to play with. Naming your business. It is important to make sure before you register your business, you check the name that you're looking for online to make sure no one else is using it. Because if you register your business first and you didn't check the name, then you just wasted your time, because now you can't use that name and you've already, taken that step unnecessarily. So make sure you look online, and you can do that at sos.state.ohio.us, and make sure that name is available. Then you want to register your name with the state, and you also want to file for your, however you want to structure your business. And typically most individuals go with the LLC. I'm to the point now where I'm pushing S corporations, because eventually you'll go there anyways, so you might as well start there in the beginning. You need to register with the Internal Revenues, the IRS. And that is by getting an EIN number. EIN numbers are very, very important. That's how they identify your business. Okay? As a LLC or sole proprietor, you can use your Social Security number instead of an EIN until you hire your first employee. That's the only time. Until you hire your first employee, okay? Once you hire your first employee, you need an EIN number. I tell people to get their EIN number beforehand if you know you're going to hire employees, and be your first employee. You can be the owner and be your first employee. You can apply online, via fax, mail, or even over the phone. The next thing is to identify if you need workers' compensation. If you have employees, 1 to 2 employees, you need workers' compensation. Workers' comp, you go online, you fill out the information, and they'll give you a certificate, and that's a way of covering you and your staff if anything happens. Tax requirements. To register, to do your tax requirements, you can go onto the Business Gateway. And the Business Gateway will take you through everything to let you know what tax bracket and all, what entity and how you're going to file your taxes, and what taxes and what entities you need to apply for to get those items taken care of. Very important section. Once you get to that part and you have employees, you want to make sure what your tax responsibilities are, because you don't want to play with the IRS. They'll come and take everything that you have if you're not careful. So that's very, very important. If you do sales tax, commercial tax, employer withholdings, you have to do unemployment, insurance, and multiple taxes depending on your location. And I can give you an example of that. My business was located in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. I had to pay Reynoldsburg taxes, Columbus taxes, and also had to pay Gahanna taxes or Blacklick taxes where I lived. So you also want to make sure that you identify all that and pay all sections. It's very important. And then we'll go to And there's the commercial activity tax, CAT. It's a tax that you have to start filing when you have $150,000 in sales. If you reach $150,000 in sales per year, you want to make sure that your account have you set up for the CAT tax, and it's called the CAT tax. Federal taxes, you want to identify, like I said, and comply with the rules of the IRS. You want to make sure you do that, and in order, if you're self-employed, you can go to irs.gov, business, small. Employees withholding taxes, you can go to business.ohio.gov when you're starting, and it will walk you through everything. Make sure that those places and sites that you go visit, put your information in and just make sure that you're staying in line. Okay?
Would you suggest I use all kind of services I think out there I'm learning about that do all this for me rather than you have a gift of accounting. Most do, you know that. And that I speak. Would you suggest that? Because I haven't got my first contract yet. It's a floor cleaning service.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Now, what was your question again?
The question is, rather than go and look up all these individual ways to pay taxes and various levels and all the requirements, hire a service to do it for me so I don't miss something. It'll be so easy to misstep.
You can, but one thing I make individuals, I say that's very mindful, is that don't have someone do something for you that you can do for yourself. Don't have someone tell you where your money should be going when you want to first know yourself. So it's good for you to do the legwork and investigating and seeing, but if you want to hire someone, at least be educated on it.
Good word. Good word.
My next question is, do you need a vendor's license? A lot of companies do not understand that they need vendor's license. I see a lot of businesses be like, oh, I started this and I started that, and I didn't know I needed a vendor's license. That is something that you also want to check and make sure that what you're doing does not fall up underneath that.
But if you're gonna sell products to the state, you're gonna need a
Vendor's license, yes. If you're going to sell product, period, I would say get a vendor's license.
Maria, I just wanted to interject another thought, because when I first started, I ran into exactly what you said that people were gonna run into if you didn't check out the name. I had initially called my company Professional Dynamics. And then I didn't research that. So I got this nice gentle nudge or reminder from the individuals who actually had
That company.
They gave me a call. So I got real lucky because all I had to do, instead of calling myself Professional Dynamics, was reverse the process and call it Dynamic Professional.
Professional. Yes. But just doing that one little check would have saved you from all of that. Yeah. So any business making retail sales, you need a vendor's license. So if you're selling anything, you need a vendor's license. Make sure you get it. I just like to point that out because, like I said, a lot of people don't know that. And other things to consider is understanding the environmental laws. Depending on your business, there's environmental laws. Like you say, you're doing cleaning, floor cleaning. It could be some environmental laws to how you get rid of your chemicals. How do you do all of that? So that is something that you definitely want to check into so you make sure that you're within the guidelines. Because I hate for 6 months down the line, you've been doing it this way, and then they're coming at you saying you shouldn't have been doing this way, and you got to pay hefty fines and fees. So just be mindful of that. There's things with hazardous waste, solid and infectious waste, air, consumer law, and zoning requirements. When you're putting your business somewhere, make sure you check the zoning because some places aren't zoned for certain businesses, and it's very important. You can have it set up, have the office space, and they tell you got to move because it's not zoned for what you're trying to do. Other things I want to talk about is patent requirements, copyright, and licensing and permits. Copyright is a good thing, like if you're an author, if you're selling items that you want to have ownership of, and if someone else uses it, then you can get, you know what I'm saying, profit off of them using your items or things like that. So a copyright, especially on books, any manuals, procedures that you come up with and they're uniquely yours, then you want to get them you get a copyright license for them. Everything that I do now is copywritten. Anything that I do, my workbook is copywritten, my book is copied, my manuals, I copyright all of them. So therefore I can sell them to the community, sell them to other individuals, and if I find someone using my work, I can say that it's mine, it's already been copywritten. And then patent requirements, if you have things and you're first developing, it's always good to get it patent because you don't want someone else using your idea. And then therefore, if they do, they can have to pay you for it. It's your idea, why not get paid for it all the way around, correct? Most importantly, I want to talk about is insurance. A lot of companies, I am so serious, a lot of companies do not have liability insurance. They're out here operating without liability insurance. And as soon as something happens, they're coming to sue you, and they're going to take everything that you own because you didn't have the insurance in place. You need liability insurance if you have a business, your business interrupts, for your business income, for your machinery, your personal property, your commercial auto, your management protection, your human failure, because we're human, we have failures. Your staff could do things out in the community. You want to protect yourself against that. Your it protects your employees, your equipment, your vehicles, and it protects you from burglary. It's very important. And you'd be surprised it's not even really that expensive, especially when you're just starting out. So it's good to have. If your building catches fire, you don't have liability insurance, you just lost everything. Okay. Sorry, it timed out on me. Okay, now I want to go over the 14 common characteristics of a successful business owner. Everybody ready? You have to first be willing to take a risk. Driven to succeed. Focus on achieving goals. Confident, enthusiastic, and passionate. Self-motivated and self-reliant. Ability to separate work and family life. Very important. Seek advice from experts. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and no question is a dumb question. Invest in technology to improve and or automate your process. Investments. You have to invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself in your company, no one else will invest in you either. Invest in marketing. Marketing is very, very important. I hired someone to do marketing for me because I've gotten so busy. That was the first person I hired. I didn't hire a receptionist. I didn't hire an assistant. I hired somebody to do my marketing so I can keep the money coming in. Because without that money, I can't hire the other individuals. Closely monitor your finances. Stay on your finances. Answer your questions. Stay on your finances. You want to know where your money's going, how you're going to get your money, what money you have coming in, and how you can make adjustments to keep your money. Commit to lifelong learning. As a business owner, you will learn every day, all day. Everything is an opportunity. Be able to focus on what's important. That's why I talked about all the things and finding your purpose. Some of that stuff's not important, but we're spending a lot of time focused on it. Learn how to focus on what is important. And be open to change. We're all growing. The world is changing, so we have to be open to being able to change and maneuver as those things take place. If you can't change and you stay stagnant, your company dies in that position. The last thing is be resilient. We all have to be resilient to be successful business owners. Does anyone have any questions? Well, I hope that I did exactly what I came to do, was to walk you through how to identify your purpose. I'm sorry.
I just have a quick question about liability. How does that impact online? Do they offer any kind of liability for it?
You would have to contact different liability insurance companies for businesses, and they would let you know. Like for my consulting is a new thing. So a lot of companies or a lot of individuals are here doing consulting and they don't have liability insurance. I called and I got liability insurance. My, you know what I'm saying, broker told me it's very, very important because now people are coming back suing and saying, you told me if I did everything you said, I was going to be rich. That's not what I told you. Or I did everything you said and this happened and I didn't, you know what I'm saying, achieve that. Now I want to sue you. You got to protect yourself in all aspects. Any more questions? Okay, well, I hope that everybody enjoyed my presentation. I hope that I gave everyone something. I left you with something, and we're going to always remember to push, then pull. All right, thank you.